Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. And I'm so relieved to be doing today's Thriver TV episode because for the last 2 days I've been filming the new life video, which has to be word perfect. There can't be any interruptions. Tiggy can't do the wrong thing, can't have a hair out of place. And it's been so challenging and it's driving me crazy because it's so much easier doing these episodes and being able to have interruptions or things go wrong or whatever. So I'm really going to enjoy doing this week's episode with you because this is a really important topic and a lot of people have been asking me to go more quantum. They're saying, can you take us into a deeper understanding? And I really wanted to do it with this topic because I want to help people understand why it can be so confusing, painful and traumatizing when trying to recover from narcissistic abuse. Because the sad truth is many people simply don't recover. The best that they do is try to manage their symptoms, which is the fully activated trauma that's wedged in their being, and then hope to survive those traumatized emotions. But the truth is this, if the trauma is not addressed for real, then the options are only going to be trying to self-medicate the pain. And generally how we try to do that, even unconsciously, is with addictions, which can even be about going back to that abusive person, medications. We might be doing deep depression, such as sleeping a lot to try to escape the pain, or tragically even checking out, which can be really common in abuse communities. And that can happen unconsciously with the manifestation of terminal illnesses or an accident, or horribly, it might even be a conscious choice of suicide. Now, here is the issue with our modern society, which is so planted in the 5 senses. Because we can't just go to the doctor, have an x-ray and he says, oh no, you've got a 10-pound cyst of heartbreak, shattered dreams and security terror within you, sabotaging all of your resources and your ability to be happy, inspired, healthy and forward generating. But that's actually the truth. But just because the cyst, or whatever we want to call it, can't be seen doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because it surely does, and it does. So that is ignored, and what is focused on is the symptoms, the depression, the anxiety, the complicated post-traumatic stress disorder. And as an attempt to manage the symptoms, you may be told to medicate or meditate, or walk, jog, or do yoga, or take up this, or take up that. And please don't get me wrong, these are some wonderful supplements like healthy, non-toxic foods, exercise, getting amongst nature, personal development, spiritual stuff. All these things are helpful, but none of these things are about directly addressing the wedged trauma in your body. So, and if we're not doing that, well then they're only going to be attempts to calm and soothe the trauma that still remains within us. And sadly, our culture, before emerging sciences such as epigenetics and before an understanding of quantum realities, believed that, ironically, in our traditional, much more ancient civilizations, this was deeply understood. But for the last 5,000 years, it's really been obliterated and removed and buried. So before this understanding re-emerged, because we're going back there, what has been believed is that once you have an emotional mental issue, because it's unseen, you can't heal it. And inevitably you're going to be stuck with it. And this is why in our society we have expressions such as she suffers with depression or he suffers anxiety. And there can be entire groups created who are post-traumatic disorder sufferers, and they're all stating there is no real cure for these issues, but there is. But wouldn't it be great if she, who suffers depression, went to her quantum doctor and had her x-ray that revealed this to her? What if she got a report which said, Your depression is caused by a trauma that was inflicted by your father at 4 years of age that has been wedged within you ever since, which has been unconsciously playing out and causing you to experience more of the same trauma in repeat over and over as an adult because it has never been healed. And then the report goes on to say the good news is once this part of you is upgraded, which means healed, then those symptoms of feeling helpless and powerless, which you were at 4 years of age when this happened to you, and the relationships of people who are also wounded and depressed, which actually, you know, is just representing your father again, and those relationships which leave you with even greater depression will be finished. The cycle will be broken. It'll be the end of all of that. And what if the guy with anxiety went to his quantum doctor who read his report to him, which went like this: your anxiety was a generational trauma you took on from your mother in the womb. She has it and many of her ancestors have it because it originated from your predecessors that were living in stressful, highly traumatic times of high survival stress. And you took this on from them. You were born this way. But the good news is when this part of yourself is upgraded, meaning healed, when things in your life don't go to plan, you will no longer be triggered into that literal survival horror of what could go wrong now and everything's going to crap and myself and others are now not safe, and you will no longer be unconsciously choosing and gravitating to other people who have high levels of anxiety, who are going to only activate and make your anxiety worse with their unsafe behavior. People aren't healing because they are not going to that doctor. People are not healing because they don't realize that when they accept quantum truths and start learning how to self-partner their subconscious, that they'll become that doctor to themselves. Because when they do that, they can discover the real truth regarding their emotionally crippled traumas, which have been fully activated by narcissistic abuse. And they can access the ability to release them, be upgraded, and be completely free of them, which is exactly the path that this Thriver community works with and takes. And that's why there are so many people healing from what was traditionally thought of as the unhealable. For us to be the shift in how we heal from abuse, there are some pretty key things to accept, learn about, and also take on as a personal experience. Ultimately, we can give quantum tools a crack and start to live the results. Then we know it's real because we're living it. And at first, like many of us, I had no idea that going quantum would work. It wasn't until I started experiencing the results personally and healing symptoms I was told by the medical industry could never be healed, and saw my life transform before my eyes, within my heart, in ways that surpassed my wildest dreams, that I knew how real this stuff is, even if you can't see it. And then that made perfect sense to me too, getting beyond the surface world of what we can see to realizing deeply the unseen level is actually where it's all taking place. Everything we see comes from the unseen world first. And our emotions, and specifically our beliefs about anything, which is what we really feel about something, is the energy in motion. The emotion creating our realities. And one of our most powerful emotional energy signatures is trauma. Narcissistic abuse delivers tons of it and activates it. The words activates it is a vital understanding that is incredibly liberating and powerful when you get it. And this is it. This is key. The trauma the narcissist delivered isn't new. So the people who are not healing from narcissistic abuse, meaning the people who are not going inside to their trauma to be their own doctors to release it and live their lives free of it, don't want to accept this, because to them this would mean giving up their victim role. I used to do this totally. If anyone had tried to imply that there was something inside me already that matched the wounds of what the narcissist was bringing to my attention, then look out. I would have felt like smacking that person in the mouth. No way, I used to declare, do I have the terror of speaking up and risking rejection, abandonment, criticism, or punishment. No way do I conduct all of my relationships by playing it safe, telling people what they want to hear so they'll love me, rather than live my own values and truths. Of course I didn't hold other people responsible for my happiness instead of being able to generate that healthily for myself with healthy boundaries and choices. Nor did I get really pissed off at them when they didn't deliver much. Of course not. Nor did I keep attracting people as relationships who one way or another brought to the table my need to step up and heal these terrors of speaking up, become a source to myself, and be able to start generating safe, honest, adult relationships, starting with the one I was having with myself, and then translate that into ones with other healthy people. No, not much at all. That was exactly what I've been doing, and it was my normal. I didn't realize I was doing it, like so many of us. And it took narcissistic abuse, a game over situation where life could no longer go on as normal, for me to finally acknowledge the truth and start healing it. And this is where the people who don't heal from narcissistic abuse can turn on me, and they say things like, you're victim shaming yourself, you're taking all responsibility away from the narcissist and blaming yourself. No. I'm not blaming myself. I've just become my own doctor who is about to administer the real medicine, which is the going inwards to and committing to the healing and the upgrading of my original wounds that I've taken on from my parents, experienced in my childhood, and finally clean up all the ways I've been handing over power and burying all of my fears of being abused, taken over and hurt, hiding behind a mask of trying to keep everybody else happy with me, and kept, ironically, not at all, generating relationships with all the people who would bring to light those exact wounds that I was self-avoiding. That's exactly what I'd been doing. And thank goodness I was about to start emerging out of the horrible pattern of terror of abandonment, which was huge for me, where all along the greatest abandonment had been the abandonment of myself. So that finally I could wake up out of the trance of thinking this is the horrible stuff that people do to me, and emerge into the soul liberating recognition of this. The horrible people in my life are merely and magnificently bringing to me all the stuff that hurts as the evidence of the as yet unhealed parts within me that I've not freed myself from yet. Okay, so I want to share with you the quantum level that creates direct healing and recovery for real, which is also known as Thriver Recovery. And I'm also going to grant you the matching statements at each stage where people get snagged up and are not healing. So the first one is acknowledging that there is a deeper, more benevolent and evolutionary reason for what has gone on, which is recognition of the quantum interconnected level that life is happening for us and not to us. So people who won't heal really can't connect to that, and they wouldn't agree with that, because it's like, well, how, if I can't see that theory, how can it be proven? The next one is the anxiety, depression, and inability to have healthy life force, and even the narcissist and the wrestles with the narcissist are only symptoms which trying to fix will not help. It's like being on the wrong football field, let alone not being anywhere near the goals. Our answers are on the inside. The outside is only ever a symptom. And the true source of healing needs to be about freeing ourselves from the wedge trauma in our being, which is connected to all of it. And once that's healed, there'll be no connection to those things. And people who won't heal would say something like, well, now you're really talking rubbish, as well as victim blaming. The next point is the trauma from the narcissist is not new. It's a replay of more of what was already in existence inside us, but as yet had not been activated in such an intensity to get our full attention. Now that it has, and life can no longer go on as normal, our souls have brought us to the necessity to finally heal what was buried and unconscious in order to free ourselves to the next highest and most fulfilling versions of ourself, also known as true self. So to ascend higher, these painful beliefs and traumas couldn't come with us. That's why they've been triggered, so that the unconscious can become conscious and they can be released so that we can ascend. So people who won't heal would say, hang on, it was new what the narcissist did. My life was wonderful before the narcissist. And okay, maybe even if my life wasn't wonderful, there wasn't anything about trauma in my body or my past that caused what happened with this person or had anything to do with it. You know, it was only because of him or her that this happened and my life is ruined now. It's got nothing to do with existing trauma. And the next one is when we take our focus off the narcissist and make it all about our inner wounds, and we go to them with fascination and we love ourselves enough to heal them, we start a profound journey of freeing ourselves from all of the reasons why our life had been previously limited and painful. We break free first from the narcissist, but that's only the beginning, because then one by one we break free of every previously blocked, disappointing or painful experience in our life. Now, people who won't heal would say, I'm not going to go inwards to my trauma or go back into my past. I don't want to feel what that horrible person did to me. I'm doing everything I can to forget it and get on with my life. And I used to do that too. And it's so funny how the people who don't want to partner with themselves unconditionally, which means being with their own internal wounds to heal them, are regularly experiencing the wounds. They think they're escaping them, but their traumas have them fair and square by the scruff of the neck. They're constantly in pain, and I used to live like that, because these traumas are screaming out to be held, released and healed, and are like broken children who are not getting a loving parent to care about them. They become more and more demanding, atrocious and insistent. Just like anything in our life that's broken and calling out for attention, and we don't grant it that healing shift and attention, it gets worse. Like a hole in our roof, the leaks get worse, like our car motor, our car stops running. It's no different with our emotions. Okay, so I really hope that this week's episode has helped switch some lights on for you, and I'd love you to come over to the blog to join me in a deep and rich conversation about this. And please know, no questions are off limits. You can ask anything you like and I will answer and respond to the best of my capabilities. So you can do that at blog.melanietoniaevans.com. And until next week, you know what to do. Keep smiling, keep healing, keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do. Okay, lots of love. Bye-bye.